How you doing? I'm Darren with Kickin Barbecue. If this is your first time to the channel, then welcome. If you've been here before, then welcome back. Today, we're talking brisket. Now, as you all know, my go-to for brisket is Tailgater's Barbecue Party Rub. But Dan, the maker of Tailgater's Barbecue Party Rub, and I have been talking. This was probably about a year and a half ago now. And he was kind of filling me in on the background and history of Texas barbecue, Franklin, John Lewis, all those guys. And you can find yourself down a rabbit hole once you start exploring online. So if you want to do that, absolutely feel free. And we were talking about John Lewis's brisket and how he claimed he uses Lowry's on his brisket. And I grew up with Lowry's. My dad used it on burgers. It's very nostalgic for me, and I really enjoy it. So we had been talking about this, and then all of a sudden now I've seen it come to fruition on, some more YouTubers' channels about using Lowry's on brisket and John Lewis and everything else. So I said, you know what, now's the time, I got to try it. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to have portions down below and mixture for the slather down below, and we're just going to run his recipe. Now I would love to cook this on an offset. I have one. I just have some other content I have to film on it first before I can start doing cooking videos, but that is coming, so there's a pretty good chance I'll be running this recipe again on an actual offset. But today we're going to be cooking on the Pellet Pro 2300, which has quickly become my favorite cooker for day-to-day use. It cooks great, it holds temperatures awesome, gives a wonderful flavor. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be running on the pellet grill. Now the slather that John Lewis allegedly uses is equal parts of mustard to pickle juice. And the reason being is you get kind of a soft bark with just mustard because it's a little bit thicker. So if you thin it down, it's supposed to give a better bark. I'm excited to try this out. I really like pickle juice and I really like mustard. Now his rub is 8 parts black pepper, and this is table grind or 16 mesh, 3 parts Lowry's, 3 parts Diamond Crystal kosher salt, and 1 part granulated garlic. And that's all it is. So we're going to get this seasoned up, get it out in the cooker, and I'm really excited to see how this turns out. It's been a long time since I've done a brisket other than using Tailgater's Barbecue Party Rub. So I'm really excited to try this. So let's bring you in and get this brisket seasoned up. Alright guys, you can see we have our brisket all trimmed up here. If you're curious on how I trim this up, I'll throw a link either up top or down below on one of my other videos that shows you the trimming process, and I will be coming out with a brisket trim video soon. I had every intention on shooting one for this one, but I ran out of memory as I was filming because it was amateur hour over here. So what I like to do is we're going to be cooking fat side down because our heat source is down on our pellet cooker. So we're going to be cooking fat side down, and this is just going to be a little bit of the slather. This is just that pickle juice and mustard, and you can see it's nice and thin. We don't want to go too heavy on it. So we'll just go ahead and get that all coated up, get all our sides. And I am usually not a big proponent of binders, but we're following this recipe the best that we can from the information that was available online. And like I said, everything will be down below. So now we're going to take our rub and we're going to get it all evenly incorporated. There we go. It's all nice and mixed up. And then we're just going to go ahead and hit our brisket. So we'll just start by giving it a nice even coat. And this black pepper on here is going to be awesome. I love black pepper, so this brisket is right up my alley. I'm usually always adding black pepper to stuff. It's a big piece of meat, so don't be afraid to go a little heavy. We'll just get that all pressed in. I'm so excited to see how this turns out, especially with this black pepper. This is going to be absolutely delicious. You want to make sure that you're mixing this up as you go because stuff's going to start settling and all that, so just make sure you're mixing it up evenly. One more dose here. Make sure you get your edges. Do not skip your edges. Alright, now we will flip it over. We're going to repeat the process on the top side. A little bit of mustard on there and the pickle juice. This mustard and pickle juice actually smells pretty good. Alright, now we're just going to come back and give a coating on top. Make sure we get that all mixed up nicely. Like I said, it's a big piece of meat, so don't be afraid to go heavy with your seasoning. This black pepper is going to mellow out all the time it spends on the cooker. All right, there is our John Lewis seasoned brisket. So I'm gonna let this just sit for a few minutes and go and get the smoker fired up, and I'll meet you outside once we get it on the cooker. All right, guys, you can see we have our brisket on the smoker. It's looking absolutely delicious. It's already smelling wonderful. Wonderful black pepper on there, and we're running at about 275, 300 degrees, and that's what we're gonna be rolling at. So I'm gonna get this in, get it closed up, and we'll come back and check it in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So we will see you then. All right, guys, so it's been about an hour and a half. You can see our brisket's looking really good. It's starting to get a little dry on here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and spritz it lightly. All I'm using is just straight up apple juice. I don't know if that's what John Lewis uses or not, but that's what I'm using. So I'm just gonna spritz that, keep it moist, and I'm just gonna let it keep rolling, and we'll come back and check on it in probably about 2 hours or so and see how it's looking. All right, guys, so it has been 2.5 hours. The brisket's been on for a total of 4. You can see it is looking absolutely wonderful. We have some great bark on here. It's nice and set up. So at this point, I'm gonna get it inside and we're gonna get it wrapped. It smells phenomenal. So I'll meet you guys inside and we'll get this wrapped up. All right, guys, so we have our brisket here. It's looking absolutely awesome. Got good bark, starting to get jiggly, feeling pretty good. It's been on, like I said, for about 4 hours, and we were just cooking to color and how we got the bark on here. That was our main goal with this. Internal temperatures around 165 to 170 degrees. I've had this sitting here for a few minutes before I was able to film and wrap, and all this juice in there. And that's gonna be really delicious. Normally what I do is pour a can of beef consomme in here. I'm not going to do that this time. I just want the natural fat and tallow to render down into this wrap. Now, I am using foil. I thought about doing the foil boat method, and I actually had started that, and that's where also some of this juice came from. And then I was talking to my friend Dan Woods, and he, kind of reminded me the fact that a lot of these guys that are doing the foil boat method are cooking it fat up, and that's to keep creating the bark on that fat. And I'm cooking fat down, so I opted to just wrap in foil. If you want to wrap in paper, go for it. I like wrapping in foil. So that's what we're gonna be doing. So I'm just gonna get this wrapped up here. All right, and there is our brisket all wrapped up. And I'm gonna get this back out on the pit, and I'll probably check it in about an hour, 2 hours, but I'll bring you back when it's time to check it, and we'll see how it is and let you know how long this thing is taking. So I'm gonna get this outside, and we'll see you in an hour or two. All right, guys, so it has been 7.5 hours. We're gonna go ahead and check for tenderness now. We're reading about 208, 209 degrees. And more importantly, it is probing like butter. There's zero resistance. And that feels really good. We're 210 there. So I'm gonna get this inside, and then I'll show you what the next step in the process is. We'll meet you in the house. All right, guys, we have our brisket here. Just got it off the smoker. Now, I just wanted to show you what the next step in the process is, because I think it's a pretty crucial one when you are using foil to wrap your briskets. And I think it's overlooked by a lot of people, especially a lot of people who say that they don't get good bark wrapping in foil. So what we're gonna do here is just get this opened up. And there's a lot of juice in here, and don't forget, we didn't add anything to this. We just went ahead and let all the tallow and the fat render down. So that's really, really nice to see. Now, what you want to do here is, yes, your bark does get soggier when you're wrapping in foil, and that's perfectly fine. So all you got to do here is just open this up and let it steam off for 15 minutes. That's it, 15 minutes, no more, no less. It'll reset your bark here, get it looking nice again, and then after that, you just close it back up, and then you'll rest it. So I'm gonna let this steam off for 15 minutes. I'm gonna close it back up, and I'm gonna let it rest for 2 hours, and I'll bring you back when it's time to slice into it. So next time you wrap in foil, open it up, let it vent for 15 minutes. It's gonna reset your bark, and I mean, just go ahead and look at how jiggly that thing is. This is gonna be a great brisket. So we'll see you guys in 2 hours and 15 minutes. All right, guys, it has been 2 hours since we've rested our brisket. I went ahead and just dumped the juice into my strainer here, and if you haven't seen this thing before, it's really cool. It's got a little trigger on top here. It'll actually separate the good juice from the fat and drain out the bottom. So if you're interested in one of these, I got a link down below. It's also in my pulled pork video. So let's go ahead and get this out and onto the board and see how it looks. And it feels really good. Let me get this set off to the side. And you can see it's nice and jiggly. Got some really nice dark bark on there. Everything is set up right. So at this point, we're just going to go ahead and cut her right down the center and see how she looks. Cutting like absolute butter. It's really nice. Look at that. Great fat rendering on there, nice and moist on the flat. Of course, the point is going to be nice and juicy, but that flat looks really great. So I'm gonna flip that up. Now at this point, you can kind of see that the grain is running this way, and I see so often people, it's running this way, but people want to cut like this. You're not really completely against the grain doing that. So what I like to do is actually start where I'm 100% against the grain. So I'll be right here. So we'll just go ahead and slice through. Really nice looking end piece there, nice and juicy. And that's what I'm looking for in a nicely cooked brisket, where this piece is nice and juicy and the flat is nice and juicy. Of course, your point is going to be nice and juicy, but if the flat's got this juice content, you did a pretty good job. So let's go ahead and slice up a few more pieces here. Oh yeah, super tender. Look at that, holding up under its own weight, but just absolutely pulls apart. Very nice and tender. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a few more slices out of here. Awesome brisket, super tender, nice and moist. I mean, look at that, clapping for you there. Holds up under its own weight, but just pulls apart with ease. A lot of moisture in there, nice smoke ring, nice bark. I mean, that is a fantastic brisket. And I know everyone is looking for the burnt end piece here. So that right there, there it is. Beautiful rendering, nice and tender. Let's just go ahead and cube up a couple of those bad boys. That's what's up right there. That is awesome. That is some great fatty right there. Nice fatty brisket. I mean, super tender. Great bark. Nice and crisp. And that's what's up right there. So I'm going to bring you out and let's do the official taste test. All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a piece of the burnt end here. Just give that a try. Very good, peppery, salty. You can taste the Lowry's, you can taste the smoke. That's delicious. Nice piece of fatty here. We'll just go ahead and cut off a slice of that. Couldn't be more tender. Absolutely melts in your mouth. And you guys, this was a choice brisket. This was not a prime. And I mean, it is absolutely fantastic. So I think I would definitely do this recipe again. I definitely like the Tailgater's Barbecue Party Rub briskets a little bit better, but this is a nice change of pace. It was a fun experiment. I'm glad I tried it. I would do it again, but my go-to is still going to be Tailgater's Barbecue Party Rub. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell, stay safe, and we will see you next time.